rapid fire. I'll mention a guy you worked with on TV. Just tell me quickly what it was like to work with them, what you think of them. I mean,
yeah, sounds like fun.
I'll throw it out there. Awesome. Bulldog.
Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, golly, yeah. Enjoyed working with him. He was a lot of fun and very creative, and had nothing but respect for him. And he was, for me, he was easy to work with because, and you know this too, you get there to the TV and you're there sometimes to put guys over, and it's you know, it's just all about them, all about them, all about them, all about them. He wasn't that way. It was like, Reno, what do you like to do? And how can we implement that in the match so we have a good match? And that's all I needed to hear right there. I'll jump off the, you know, top of the building for the guy if he tells me that, you know. So, yeah, great guy. Liked working with him a lot.
1, 2, 3 kid.
1, 2, 3 kid. Great talent. Outside the ring, you know, maybe not my type of lifestyle, but I'm sure he's got his own challenges outside the ring that I felt like he was probably one of the luckiest guys in our entire industry for the break that he got, because that could have went to 100 of other different guys, and you know, may have ended up better, may have ended up worse. I don't know, but I thought that was a very, very he got a very lucky break, and I think he made the most of it. But like I said, you know, outside the ring, I disagree with a lot of that shenanigans. But you know, good luck to him.
Owen Hart.
There's nobody better as a person. You know, his in-ring talent speaks for itself. If you know anything about wrestling, if you're looking at it from a wrestling fan, I'm sure he was very entertaining to, you know, millions of fans all across the world. But being able to share a locker room with them, and hotel room and a car, and, you know, break bread with him, there's not many guys better. And when I learned the news of when I, you know, heard the news of what happened to him in Kansas City that night at the Kemper Arena, just the first person that I thought of, because I never really met his wife or kids, but when he was on the road, he talked about his son Owen Jr. quite a bit, and that was the first person I thought of when I had heard what had happened, you know, and because he used to talk about his son and some of the he was doing the business. I don't think he necessarily just was consumed by the business. I think eventually he wanted to try to make enough money that he could get out of the business, go home, be a husband, be a dad, and be just the best average Joe that you could possibly. I think he wanted to be a fireman, and unfortunately that didn't happen. But one of the best guys that anybody would ever meet, you know, and what a ribber. So I'll give you a quick rib that he pulled on me. We're in Singapore, and we're getting ready to leave and go to the Philippines or someplace like that. So we're all lined up, getting ready to go through customs. And I've got my itinerary, and I got my passport, and I got all my paperwork. Well, he slipped his little hand in there and pickpocketed me and hid my passport. So I get up there to, you know, give the guy my credentials and stuff. And I'm looking around, I'm looking on the floor, and I go back to where we were standing, and I'm looking all around, and he goes and gets his stuff checked in, you know, and he comes back over. He goes, Reno, what's going on? You're holding up the plane. And I go, I can't find my passport. He goes, what? I said, I can't find my passport. He goes, you're going to have to be here 2 weeks before they can mail in another passport or anything. So here I am panicking, right? Panicking. And so he holds the whole thing up for about 30 minutes, like he's helping me look for my passport through the airport. He goes, did you go to the bathroom? I'm going in the bathroom. I'm looking all through there. So then finally, I think he pitches it over on the floor somewhere. And he goes, Reno, is this it over here? And I didn't realize, because I was so panicked, what was going on. But all the boys are over looking at me laughing, you know, and Owen, you know, behind my back, he's going, look at this idiot, you know. But what a great character. And then also too, when like we'd be in a hotel room, he would call and do prank calls on people. And those are always so funny because he called, he would do this though. He would call, like if he was checking in behind you, you know, and so he'd listen to the conversation you're having with the front desk clerk, you know, and then, okay, well, okay, you're going to be in room 245. So he'd get to his room. He'd say, you know, hey, this is John Brown down here at the front desk. And we've just realized that there's a warrant out for your arrest, and we're going to have to ask you to the hotel. Just stupid stuff like that.
Right.
You know, he'd get real smart with the guy, you know, and I think he did that to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Duggan was going to go down there and kill the guy at the front desk, I think, one time.
That's great.
Give me another name.
All right. Bob Holly. Now, let me say this. I loved working Bob Holly. I worked him several times. Loved working Bob Holly.
No, I always had a good match with Bob Holly. Wrestled him at WWF, Bob Race Car Holly, and I think at Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And I think we had maybe a brief match when I very first started at television in Pensacola, Florida, at a little wrestling promotion called World Organization Wrestling. And Bob was down there when I was there. So you had Bob Holly. Now this is, you know, kind of going way back here, but you had Bob Holly, you had Yokozuna, you had the Batten twins, you had Mike the Hippie Boyette, Bruiser Bob Sweetan, Gino Sanazaro and Christopher Love was on the headset. They were on the microphone doing the commentating and the color. And that was that old studio style of wrestling. First television I ever did in my whole entire wrestling career was in Pensacola, Florida. Yeah, pretty good.
Who else we got here?
Working with Bob. No, Bob and I had great matches. I didn't have any issues with Bob. Hopefully he didn't have any with me. But no, I always enjoyed working Bob. A little snug, but you know, not gonna hurt you.
I saw this on YouTube. You versus Mr. Perfect. He gave you half the match.
Yeah. Well, I told him, I said, look here, Kurt. People are tired of your gimmick. They're tired of looking. There's got to be a new sheriff in town, and tonight I'm going to take what's mine, you know. And you know, one of the times I worked with him, and we had a very good match, although it was that typical TV match. Gonna let me shine for a little bit, and then bang. But the next time I worked with him, I think there was something going on where I think he had been promised a main event match with Hogan at a WrestleMania or something of that nature, or it may have been another pay-per-view, and he was a little steamed by that, and that may have been the match that you're referring to, because we got out there and he goes, you know, I'm show him that, you know, I can work with anybody. And so I go, well, I don't know if it's a compliment or it's a slap in the face, you know, but we did. We went out there, and man, he was perfect. He was loved working with him. I loved him. He was always very accommodating in the locker room. Always liked to joke and rib, and always seemed to be in a pretty good mood. And yeah, he didn't care whether if you was enhancement talent or if you was, you know, up here in the main event. I felt like he treated everybody the same, or at least he did me. And so at least that was the experience that I had with him. And so I always enjoyed, you know, and he was another guy too, when I'd get to the building, who you working with tonight? And he'd go get it changed, and I would, all right, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, you know. So no, I loved him. I thought he was a great guy, good friend outside the ring. He came, remember, I was on the road once, and we was on the loop, and we're doing we did Cincinnati, we did Louisville, and then we're going to come down to Nashville. And I remember him, the Louisville Gardens, telling me, saying, hey, we're going to be in Nashville tomorrow night. He goes, Reno, that's your town, isn't it? I said, yeah. He goes, get us set up down at this. Used to be this place here in Nashville called the Stockyard. And it was a big high-class steak place. And then they had this little nightclub down there called the Bullpen Lounge. And so one of my friends, he worked in the Bullpen Lounge part, and they was always going to have like a house band. So he had me call my buddy and say, hey, we're going to be in town tomorrow night. We're going to come over and take over the the bar. He says, "Tell the house band I'm going to get up and sing with them tomorrow night."
That's awesome.
I said, "So that's basically," I says, "Kurt," I says, "that's basically like somebody who's a wrestling fan calling you saying, 'Hey, I'm getting involved with your match tomorrow night.'" I go, "You can't do that." He goes, "You watch." So sure enough, we go there the next night. He's down there on the stage singing with the band. They loved it. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, just nothing but great memories from Kurt Hennig.